Hello, good afternoon on this sunny Friday afternoon in England, and today I am messing around with diesel engines as always, which is my favourite, isn't it? So what am I doing today? Well, strange request. As you guys may know, we sell the fuel pump element kits, the fuel pump builder kits for these injector pumps. Now this dirty, horrible looking thing is not an injector pump that we've built here. This is an injector pump that a customer has bought one of our fuel pump element kits and he's built it himself. No problem at all. A lot of guys do this. They have the access to a test bench. They kind of know what they're doing and they can tweak it and play around with it for a lot less money than paying me to do it. Mint. Now, every now and again, people have a go at this. They send it to the local shop and they make an absolute bollocks of it, and then they contact me and say, Luke, can you set this up for me? And I say, yeah, no problem, no problem. The only thing I stipulate is, please, when you send me the pump, make sure it's clean, because I don't want to put it on my test equipment that's doing these gorgeous billet pumps and all these other nice fancy things, a dirty, horrible pump that mess all my stuff up. So please make sure it's clean. Sends it to him, we recalibrate it. We charge 350 quid for this service, where someone sends in a built pump and we set it all up, assuming it's clean. We charge 350 quid. We do our usual test sheet, follow all our usual test plan. So the settings and the rest of it is very similar to one of our built pumps. Right, so when we've done that, we then send it back to the customer, which we did. So this one got sent to France, and then I think it went from France to Tunisia. I think that's where the guy is, Tunisia. So he then put it on his engine and he had all kinds of running issues. So I told him a couple of small adjustments to make to try and help it, and they didn't make any difference. There was obviously some other issue afoot. And this happens, you know, when you build a lot of pumps, things happen, whether it be fuel starvation or whether it be whatever it might be, an injector sticker or anything, and people immediately assume that it's a calibration issue. And I feel them in a certain respect, because they're stuck. You know, they might not be diesel experts, they might be just mechanics that can put a pump on, and they haven't possibly got the experience or the skill to break down and diagnose all the things, but they know they've put this pump on and now it doesn't work, so it must be the pump. So I don't argue with that. I just say to them, yeah, no problem, send it back to us and we'll test it free of charge, make sure everything's okay. Anyway, so they sent it back, we put it on the test bench, and the settings were miles off. Like, the settings were literally, I couldn't describe, like the idle quantity was double what it should have been. It was miles off. And one of the problems that the customer was complaining on was that he'd rev it up and the engine wouldn't slow back down, it'd keep revving. Anyway, we found no bent or damaged things, so maybe he'd been fiddling, they fiddled with the wrong thing, or maybe there was an issue, or we don't know. But by the by, tested this pump, it didn't match the test plan that it was sent out with, of course. It was totally different in every respect. So we set it all back to the proper test plan, and then the customer said, I don't want you to send it back until you've tried it on an engine. I want it to run like one of your crate engines. Well, it's nice to think that I have the time to be able to just pop a pump on an engine for him, but unfortunately I have to charge for that, don't I? Because at the end of the day, I've got to go and get an engine from round the back that's laid on a pallet, a used engine, because that's what his engine is, it isn't rebuilt. So I've got to sort of like for like that, haven't I? So I'll get a used engine, and then I've got to take the old pump off, I've got to wash it, because I'm not going to just be messing around with a filthy, horrible engine in my nice, clean workshop. I'm going to wash it all off, do all the injector lines, filters. I've got to put fresh oil in it, new gaskets, because obviously I've got to do the pump gaskets, the vacuum pump gasket, and all the other bits and pieces that go with it. So I said to the guy, look, we've spoke about this before, £100 an hour, because that is realistic for the skill set that we've got going on. So I said, 3 hours, give me 3 hours, 300 quid, and I'll do it for you, and I'll test it. And he said, fair enough, okay. So here we are. This is it, Friday afternoon. and the pump is on the engine. Right, so I've already primed the fuel system on this, and this is exactly as it's come off the bench with our calibration settings. You can see none of these, if you look at the back, none of these markings have been disturbed or altered in any possible way. It is a dirty thing. Shield your eyes. Shield your eyes. But we want to hear how it runs, don't we? Because I don't know what his name is. I think it's Olaf or Omar. But on the pump tag it says Kahila. Either way, doesn't really matter. But he's going to be happy when he hears how well this sounds. Preheat, as always. We need like some preheat music, I think, into our pump videos. Bum bum ba-dum ba-dum ba-dum. Bum bum. We're ready. Right, you ready for it? So, very, very hard to start. No. And this is a 7.7mm pump. You can see, oh, this is because the alternator isn't excited. Let me excite the alternator. There we go. Oh no, it's like a machine gun. Now this is, that noise that you've just heard, that, I'm glad that's happened actually, that is a sticking injector. So what should you do if you install a pump and you have a sticking injector on your old engine that's been sat on a crate out there for a million years? This is what you should do. Get hold of your alder lever, pull your alder lever back so that it gives it more fuel, and then give it a load of throttle. And what will happen is it pushes that needle in the injector right up, blows all that fuel through, and then it's mint. So although I would have liked the perfect test video, I'm kind of glad that happened so you could see what would happen if an injector sticks. That engine will never do that again now. That is so hilarious. You can see we already had a little bit of warmth in it. We're at about 70 degrees there. Rev counter's not working because we haven't got that type of alternator on there. Oil pressure gauge is working. But as you can see, it comes down to idle, no problem. So as you can see, it comes back down to idle, no problem, and it runs absolutely beautifully. But I'm glad that that little misfire happened, because that is quite a common thing. When you have done a rebuild, or if you've done an engine where you've just put a pump on and it's been sat a very long time, or like a rebuild's been sat a long time, you can tend to find that the injectors will stick, and they'll do exactly that. And the easy thing to do to clear them out, is alder lever, pull it right open so that it has loads of fuel, and just full throttle a few times, and it just sprays so much fuel through them injector nozzles. It blasts any little dirt, debris, or any kind of injector needle that's just not quite seating right, seats it right, and then you bang on. So there you go, Mr. Kahila, Omar, whatever your name is, your pump's now mint, and now I've got to take this horrible dirty engine and pump back off my test stand, package it all back up for you and send it off. Do you want to hear it one more time before you go? Do we think it'll misfire this time? It's beautiful. Lovely. Bye from me.